Hi everyone, it's Debbie from Barnegat Bay Dye Works, and I'm just peeking at this to make sure it's showing you what I wanted to show you. Seeing as where this is the third time I've attempted this, let's see if this is an actual go. Another one of my professional videos for you. But a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, I did a video on how to mark your wool. And I talked about a bunch of different things. And I had somebody ask me if I had tried the Sulky Fabri Solvy, and I had a long time ago and thought, well, let's try it again. So I'm using it today, and this is what I'm using. It's Sulky Fabri Solvy. I'm trying to get it so that you can see it. And it is a sticky fabric life. It's kind of mesh, water-soluble stabilizer that'll go through your printer. So I'm doing this Crazy Quilt pumpkin mat because I finished 2 projects, so I get to start another one. And I'm using the Sticky Fabri Solvy. I can't even talk. For the bittersweet stitching at the bottom. And basically it comes in an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet. And I'm sure you can't see this, but it's meshy on one side, and then it has a stiff piece of paper on the other side. And this is the piece that I cut off one of these ends. And when you peel it, you get the paper off, and then you get this mesh. And I put it through my printer, and it's printed out the bottom part of the pumpkin, which I like because it helps with placement. And I also like the fact that I can see where I'm supposed to be stitching. So the premise behind all of this is that you do your stitching, and then you would wash it away. These are hand-dyed wools that I've dyed, and they are color fast, industry standard color fast. We're going to find out if that is what industry standard is when I go to wash this, but I'm not going to dip it. This has all been washed. It's soaked in hot water. It's boiled in hot water. It's not going to shrink. What I'm worried about, well, I'm not worried, but what I would worry about is the color coming out of the hand-dyed fabrics. It's not going to happen for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm not going to dunk this because I don't want to wait forever for it to dry, but also because these are color fast. I'm also not going to dunk it because I'm going to cut away the excess after I finish stitching as much as I can for a couple of reasons. I don't want it gooping up my, I don't know why this does this, but it seems to just turn on its own. I don't want it gumming up my plumbing, and it'll be less for me to deal with. I'm going to cut it as close as I can to the stitching without it cutting the stitching. And then I'm going to take a wet paper towel and get it wet. And then hopefully it'll just peel off. Right now I can reposition it if I wanted to, except for where I've started stitching. And I might be able to, depending on how much I've been stitching, because I've started stitching, take a lot of it away. The straight lines on this will be a back stitch, and then the French knots are going to, the dots are all going to be French knots. I'm using a wool thread that I dyed. I was thinking about using this wool thread, but I think it's kind of dark. So I wanted something a little variegated. So this is the chestnut, and it has a little bit of variation to it, which will give the bittersweet a more realistic look. And for the French knots, I'm using a Pearl Cotton 8, number 8. This is called Indian corn, and I named it that because it just reminds me of Indian corn. So I want it to have the orange, the yellow, and the brown French knots for the bittersweet. So basically I'm just doing a simple back stitch on here. When I go to do this again, I'm almost out of thread. So when I go to switch threads, I'm going to switch needles. Right now I'm using a 22 and I think I need to be using a 24. My hands, yes, pardon my blue fingernails. I've been dyeing blue flannel for kits. My arthritic hands do not like a lot of tension as you're pulling through, which is why I don't like to use fusible web. And yes, I've tried them all. So I think this would go a little bit easier if I had a smaller needle. Actually, it's not going that, I mean, it's not really hard. It's not like I'm having to really push to get it through. It's working. But I think it would be just a little bit easier if I use a smaller needle. So I'm going to finish stitching my bittersweet, and then I will come back and I will show you how I get the Fabri Solvy off. This is Debbie at Barnegat Bay Dye Works. You can find our wool. This is a pre-cut mat we sell on the website, and the threads, the wools, the hand-dyed cottons are also on the website. So stop by www.barnegatbaydyeworks.com, and I'll be back when I finish stitching. Thanks.